Hey guys, welcome to JReviews DLC, a show which focuses both on the DLC and expansions for games that I have covered on JReviews in earlier episodes. I am Iceman, and the content covered today is for Fallout New Vegas, which I covered back in episode 15 with discussion of all of the official released DLC for the game, as well as the fan-made content for it. This is going to be a big video. Fallout New Vegas on its own is a huge game that will likely take you anywhere from 3 solid weeks to a month or more to get through if you're going for a full playthrough of it. But if that wasn't enough content already, there is 4 official DLC expansions that were released, as well as 4 DLCs done by the fan community. So the official DLC that will be covered in this episode are Dead Money, Honest Hearts, Old World Blues, and Lonesome Road. And the fan-made expansions to be covered will be Autumn Leaves, New California, The Frontier, and A Tale of Two Wastelands. So, onto the official expansions. So let's bring up the stats for these expansions. So starting out, we have Dead Money with suggested level of at least level 20. Is it a campaign? No, because you're only in one location. And when I'm saying campaign, I'm meaning that you go to multiple locations across a big sprawling map. So if it doesn't have that, then that's not a campaign, if you're stuck in a singular location. So, campaign, no. Companions, yes. Enemies, as in new enemies, yes. New gear, yes. Locations, yes. Music, no. New perks, yes. New quests, yes. No side quests, no. Honest Hearts, suggested level is 10. Campaign, yes, because you do travel across a big sprawling map in this one. Companions, yes. Enemies, yes. New gear and locations, yes. Music, no. Perks, yes. Quests, yes. And side quests, yes. And by the way, when I say side quests, I'm meaning anything that's like, quests beyond the main quest line, as well as side stuff to do in the game. Next up is Old World Blues, suggested level 15. Campaign, yes. Companions, no. Enemies, yes. Gear, yes. Locations, yes. Music, no. Perks, yes. Quests, yes. Side quests, yes. And then lastly, Lonesome Road, with suggested level of at least 25 plus. Campaign, no, because you're in one singular location. Companions, no. Enemies, yes. Gear, yes. Locations, yes. Music and perks. Well, music is no. Perks is yes. Quests, yes. And side quests, no. Okay, now onto the specifics on each DLC, which I'll go through in the order of their release. So, starting out, we have Honest Hearts. First on the official list, which was released in May of 2011. So this one kicks off with you leading a caravan on an expedition to Utah's Zion National Park, where things go very badly fast, and before long you're at the center of a war between the Whitelegs and the Dark Horse tribes. How that turns out is completely up to you from there. Honest Hearts has a distinct tribal and somewhat American Indian look to the tribes, and the area as a whole offers quite a bit to choose from, with the player open to going wherever they want quite soon into it. There's a fair bit of side content with this DLC, with many optional areas to explore, complete with their own stories to uncover on computer terminals, which were really cool. And there is some side quests available. If you like the open nature of the main game, then this one will be right up your alley. I got a kick big time out of the side quests in this one. There is some new companions available, though not many, as well as new perks and gear. It also adds to further the story of Caesar's Legion in the main game, and so feels quite connected with it all. I quite like this one. Lengthwise though, this is the quickest of the bunch with around 5 hours of gameplay. Second on the list is Old World Blues, which was released in July of 2011. This one begins with the player following a signal to an unknown location. The player awakens to find that their brain has been taken by a group of mad scientists known as the Think Tank, who will only return that brain back to them if the player will work with them to defeat the evil Dr. Morbius. This DLC feels like something out of a really old cartoon like Roger Ramjet, or something else out of the 1960s. Like Honest Hearts, it lets you explore to your heart's content quite quickly, with you having several quests and some side quests to complete. which you do, in which order is completely up to you. There's quite a few new enemies in this one, from the robots of Dr. Morbius to the Lobotomites and so much more. There's quite a good amount of new enemies in this one. Challenge level is pretty good in this DLC, and the amount of side stuff is great, with the test chambers sections being of particular highlight. However, every Fallout game has one bad DLC, and this is the one for me. Whilst the side stuff is great, I found the think tank to be extremely annoying, and was particularly happy in my last playthrough to get to shoot them all when I was given the opportunity. And that's what they get for stealing my brain, those filthy think tank scientists. Old World Blues is its own contained story and has no links to anything from the main game. There are some nice new armor sets and weapons with this one, the K9000 Cyberdog gun being of particular note. Lengthwise you're looking at around 12 to 15 hours of gameplay, which makes this the longest of the official DLCs. Third on the official DLC list is Lonesome Road, which was released in August of 2011. This one starts with the player receiving a transmission from a former Frumentaris of Kaiser by the name of Ulysses, inviting them to a radioactive region known as the Divide. From the get-go, this one has the strongest ties to the main game, with direct correlation to the player's initial job to deliver the Platinum chip. So if you're looking for a DLC that is strongly tied to the main game's events, then this one may be the one for you. From the very beginning though, you'll see just how much destruction has gone on in the area, with only rubble and the decayed remains of buildings to see everywhere you go. This is another DLC which has very little in the way of new enemies, though some are present. Technically there is new weapons with it, though none of particular note. This is easily the most linear of all the DLCs, as you'll be walking in a very straight line from the beginning to the end with no deviations, making it a little bit of a walking simulator. Challenge level is moderate, with nothing of particular note there. It's quite quick too, with around 5 to 7 hours max of gameplay. There isn't anything in the way of side quests or other locations to go to either. I found this one to be quite forgettable. For a lot of it, you feel like you're being lectured constantly by Ulysses. For the complete New Vegas experience story-wise though, it's one you have to play. But it's nothing special really. Last on the list is Dead Money, which was released in December of 2011. Dead Money kicks off with a bomb collar being attached to the player's neck. The only way to get it off is to gain entry to the casino at the heart of the Sierra Madre, in which this DLC takes place. Haunting its halls and alleyways are hologram security programs which have gone haywire. Dead Money has a distinct old school 1930s kind of feel to it, like an old black and white movie with its overall setting of a casino heist. To aid the player, there are several companions available, the most interesting of which to me was the super mutant named Dog, and has an alternate personality named God. Dog being good at close quarters combat due to his mindlessness and ability to eat anything, including the holograms, and God being the far more intelligent one, out of the two personalities. This being a level 20 and over DLC, it has a good level of challenge present, and does contain some new weapons, best of which being the Holo Rifle, which is worthy of use well beyond the DLC. There isn't much in the way of new enemies beyond the holograms, and you are restricted to the Sierra Madre location. Lengthwise, this is not bad, with around 10 hours max of gameplay, and that's if you're searching everywhere. There isn't much side-related stuff to do in this one, besides looking for recipes for the replicator machines, and the DLC has no major links with the main game. And that's all for the official DLC side of things. Now onto fan content. Since New Vegas has released, there has been many teams of fans working on various fan projects. The issue being that many such projects have either been cancelled years into development or stopped communicating altogether. Now that is not to say that all teams were ultimately unsuccessful, as there has been some damn fine content released by fans in the years since the game's release. So let's bring up the stats for the fan-created single-player content for the game. Okay, so starting out we have Autumn Leaves. It's for any level whatsoever. Campaign? No, because you're only in the Hypatia area. Companions? No. New enemies? No. Gear? No. Locations? Yes, because it's got the Hypatia region. Music? Yep. It goes for like a piano style kind of music in the background. New perks? Yep. Quests? Yep. Side quests? No. Next up is New California. Suggested level is new because it has you starting a completely new character in that one. That's the way it's meant to be played. Campaign, definitely, because it has various locations that you can go to, as we'll be going to later. Companions, yep. Enemies, yes. Gear and locations, yes. Music, perks, quests and side quests, yes. The Frontier is next. Suggested level is 20 plus, as it's quite a challenging DLC, as I'll go into. New campaign, definitely. There is a lot of areas to explore in that one. Companions, yes. Enemies, gear, locations, music, perks, quests and side quests, yes to all of the above. Last up, A Tale of Two Wastelands, where you've got suggested level being any, and then all the rest, no, because it is literally just a mod that combines two particular games, so I'll talk to about in a little while. Okay, so on to discussion of the actual specific fan expansions. Alright, so Autumn Leaves is first on the list and the most unique. It was released in September of 2015, and despite being present within the Fallout universe, Autumn Leaves has little to no combat present, and instead tasks the player on discovering who has murdered the creator of the numerous robots that inhabit Hypatia. Hypatia was a vault designed to house some of the smartest minds when the bombs fell. So as mentioned, this one features very little, if any, combat at all, making it the kind of mod that goes for something completely different, which I totally love whenever people do that kind of thing with mods. In this one, you'll spend most of your time speaking to the various robots to work out what really happened, and to just explore about. Length is moderate, with about 5 to 7 hours depending on if you speed through it or not. I quite like it overall. The voice acting is quite good, though a bit odd for some of the robot characters.
For Professor Cartwright, how may I help you? This is the library built by the professor in the year 2072. It is one of the most extensive compilations of human knowledge in the world.
New California is next up, and initially went by the name of Project Brazil. New California was released in demo form in January of 2012, and then fully released in October of 2018. This was the first large-scale single-player mod released for Fallout New Vegas, and features a completely different start for the player, with things beginning in Vault 18, and then soon after moving into the New California wilderness. Whilst not as large as the next mod I'll be discussing, this one still is quite large, with a fair bit of side-related content, with all of California available for the player to explore, and choose to side with whoever they wish of the New California Republic or the Raider Alliance. There are some truly epic battles in this mod, with easily the biggest battles that I have ever seen done in the Fallout New Vegas engine. The battle between the Super Mutants and the New California Republic in particular was fantastic, and is something you need to see if you're a true fan of the Fallout games and the universe of Fallout as a whole. I highly recommend this mod, it's really good. Length is excellent as well, with around 25 to 30 hours of gameplay present, so prepare to bunker down with this one, because you're in for a ride. Third up is Fallout the Frontier, which was released in January of 2021, making it the Fallout mod that many people, including myself, played at the peak of the pandemic to stay sane. Things in the mod kick off quite quickly, with you taking part in a flashback sequence, putting yourself in the shoes of an NCR soldier on the assault on Helios 1 against the Brotherhood of Steel, and then goes from there. This was not a mod without controversy, however, as not long after the first few releases, all downloads were taken off from Nexus mods after revelations that one of the Quest developers was accused of sharing pedophilic content online, which is some pretty serious stuff, and not on at all. Having played through the original version of the mod, I can confirm that there was some pretty messed up Quest content in the mod that was inappropriate, like child slavery, and how you can intentionally turn one of your companions into a slave, which is quite messed up. Other things like having the option to have sex with the Deathclaw. Yeah, this really needed an overhaul. Looking past that, however, The Frontier is an excellent single-player campaign with a huge amount of content, from a vast amount of side quests and side things to do, many optional places to go on the map, and so much more. This is a huge mod, vastly more even than the New California mod. With roughly 45 to 60 hours of content, expect to be busy for a very long time with this one. Of particular greatness is the new vehicle system, a first in any of the Fallout first-person games, and good amount of factions also that you can choose to ally up with. The mod soundtrack is another area of excellence, with roughly about 1 hour's worth of music content developed for the mod. My favourite of the lot is easily the tension music that plays during some of the combat segments. That really gets your blood pumping. But there is quite a lot of music related content created for this. Damn fun work. Beyond the obvious negatives I initially pointed out, the only other main negative I have is with the final mission, which compared to the huge war of New California, was in comparison quite small scale and more like a minor skirmish. That in no way takes anything away from this great mod, but it was a definite disappointment for me when I compared the two. Finally, we end with the DLC for the game entitled A Tale of Two Wastelands. Not much to say on this one because all it does is combines Fallout 3 and New Vegas into one massive game, in much in the same way that World of Zine that I recently discovered on JReviews, which combined Might and Magic 4 and 5. This combines Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 into one massive, huge game. Not much else to say on it beyond that, but if you choose to use it, then be prepared for a huge game to get through with all of that content from Fallout 3 with all its DLC and New Vegas and all its DLC. That's a huge game. That is going to take you a massive amount of time. That's which are 3 levels of time that you're going to need to spend. On the subject of bugs, whilst bugs do occur throughout all of these DLCs for sure, this being New Vegas, I can't recall any that were specific to most of the DLCs. That is, except for the New California mod, which does introduce, unfortunately, several major bugs into the game. The first one was that any of the enemy NPCs in the game would not be flagged as enemies and instead would be as neutral, and if I went up to them to speak to them, it would give me a message about one of the testers that was on the mod. And I was not able to fix that until I installed several of the mods which go about fixing Fallout New Vegas. The second was that one of the followers that goes around with you, Ben Kurtz, followed me around for most of the game until I told him to go away. And this was even in areas which were not supposed to have followers with you, because for some reason he wouldn't get flagged. I'm guessing because the game wouldn't detect them because it wasn't thinking of that NPC in particular. So he would follow me throughout all of the DLCs and everywhere I went. So bear those 2 bugs I have mentioned in mind. If you do encounter them after installing the mod, you'll need to get all of the fixes for the game, for the main game, to resolve them. And that concludes my discussion of all of the official and fan DLC and expansions released for the game so far. Hoping there is far more in the way of fan content in the future. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos in this series, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and also just check out my channel for further videos and you'll find out what else is available. And with that, this is Iceman of JReviews DLC signing out. Guys, have a good one.